Hello everyone, tonight on the program, players in the local construction industry upbeat Agenda 111 would help revive the sector after COVID-19 setback. We'll hear from the lead consultant on the project.
It's going to be very significant impact on the industry because it's going to give a lot of jobs to local contractors. A lot of money will be pumped into the local economies.
Also ahead tonight, a co-chairman of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantiao, defends his support for GNPC's move to acquire some oil blocks.
If we were to abandon our fossil fuel in the ground, the only option we have as a country is to go and borrow to invest in renewables. I don't support that.
And tonight, the Joy Business van visits Edible Trees, the startup aiming for a slice of the global cake market. We've got that story coming up. Welcome back from that break. Now, Ghanaian contractors are leading the charge on constructing government's Agenda 111 health facilities across the country. Now, consultants on the project say the local content component will make a significant impact in the local economic recovery after the COVID-19 setback. Lead consultant Kwabena Nyako says the decision to retain 70% of total investment in the country will improve the construction sector. Nanaya Ojima has more.
The Agenda 111 initiative to boost the health sector is described as the biggest investment in the sector. President Akufo-Addo, at a ceremony to kickstart the projects at Trede in the Ashanti region, stated the government deliberately carved the initiative to inspire economic growth and provide jobs.
Agenda 111 has been carefully thought through to inspire activity and growth in various sectors of the economy and also help bring jobs to the youth. 20 Ghanaian consulting firms made up of architects, civil, structural, electrical, and mechanical engineers, quantity surveyors, biomedical engineers, and other technical teams have designed these hospitals to reflect our unique domestic requirements, including impact of climate, socio-cultural conditions, and traditional practices. They will also supervise the construction of these hospitals.
Already, 250 domestic contractors have been selected to construct 103 of the district hospitals to cost $16.8 million each. It is estimated that 12 million of the total amount invested in the project will be retained in the country and the remaining amount used in sourcing equipment.
The execution of Agenda 111 will require significant domestic inputs, which will give impetus to private sector investments into the one district, one factory policy. I expect Ghanaian entrepreneurs to take advantage of the opportunities provided by the significant investment and produce quality building and construction materials required by the hospitals. Fourthly, we have incorporated into this agenda a strategy of direct and indirect job openings to stimulate the economies of the various communities in which the facilities are to be located.
Meanwhile, the investment is expected to help boost local economy, with the construction industry being the major beneficiary. Kwabena Nyako is project consultant.
It's going to be very significant impact on the industry because it's going to give a lot of jobs to local contractors. A lot of money will be pumped into the local economies because on each construction site you're going to have building material suppliers, food sellers, transportation, people bringing sand and stones and chippings and other materials to the site. So it's going to pump a lot of money into the local economy, and it's going to help the recovery, of the general economic recovery after COVID, and I believe it's going to have a significant impact.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantiao, has defended his support for government's move to acquire some oil blocks from the Cape 3 points for the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC. He supports the idea because there will be technical knowledge transfer to build capacities here in Ghana and enable us to take charge of oil fields in the near future. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Mantiao, however, called for further assessment of the oil blocks before the final agreement is signed.
Ghana, we are an emerging oil producing country. These international oil companies have been able to maximize their benefits. They made a lot of profit from extracting hydrocarbons, and now they are investing these profits in renewables. If we were to abandon our fossil fuel in the ground, the only option we have as a country is to go and borrow to invest in renewables. I don't support that. I would rather that in the interim, between now and the next 60 to 80 years that the EU projects, the transition will last. Let's GNPC move in there, produce oil, let's make all the money we can, and then have a national strategy that reprioritizes the ABFA and invest in renewable energy technology.
But another argument is that they are going to borrow to buy these shares or stakes.
Yeah.
And they don't see the business sense in it.
Yeah, but all the companies, the international oil companies, they borrow. We are not going to be the first entity to borrow to finance our operations. The question we should be asking is that when we borrow X amount, what profit do we get when we invest? I think that is the picture or the side of the picture that my colleagues are not looking at. GNPC does not have the capacity. And that is why, and what gladdens my heart is the fact that under this arrangement, GNPC and ACE are going to set up a joint operating company. So GNPC becomes the apprentice. They are going to teach them, they will learn how to do it by doing it. And then they transition and GNPC takes over. You can't, and in fact, there is no monetary value to this arrangement. ACE is not going to charge us for training us to be able to do it ourselves.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, in collaboration with the World University Service of Canada, has taken further steps in its quest to increase women and youth participation in mining and oil and gas sectors. Here's more from a validation workshop as part of the project. The collaboration is aimed at ensuring Ghanaian youth and women benefit from the production of oil in the country as well as the mining sector. The project, which is concentrated on communities involved in mining, oil and gas, is expected to empower them economically and increase local content. Here is Coordinator for West Africa Governance and Economic Sustainability in Extractive Areas Wages, Rosemond Aina.
Aims to facilitate economic development for women and youth in mining areas or extractive areas. The objective is that mostly women and youth are excluded from the operations of mineral resources and its related activities. So the project main objective is to be able to support them who are mostly vulnerable to ensure that they participate in all the mining activities that happen. That means facilitating business development services for them, ensuring that they are able to sell some of their services to the mining companies through procurement and other related services that the mining companies will require.
Co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantiao, says the initiative is very critical for the country. He explains the importance of women in the extractive industry.
Basically, there is a recognition that even though women tend to be impacted by the sector, the mining and oil and gas and all that, for instance, if communities have to be relocated, it impacts women in terms of the distance they will now have to travel to their farms or the distance they will have to cover in search of water and rest. However, when we are taking decisions around relocation or even decisions in terms of how to manage our revenues from the sector and all that, we do not actually prioritize the interests of women. In fact, the women do not even have opportunities to participate in that discussion in terms of even trying to influence decisions around expenditures in a way that supports their livelihoods. And so we're hoping with this particular program, in terms of when we comply, to now get women's issues addressed within the context of policy, but also within the context of decisions around how to use oil revenues. and to meet the needs of women. The EITM multi-stakeholder body itself.
A report on strategies to achieve set targets is expected after the two-day validation workshop. In other news tonight, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has indicated government is looking forward to the National Development Bank taking off from October this year. Government has put in place the necessary structures and personnel pending Bank of Ghana's approval and license issuance. Now, the Finance Minister is optimistic the bank would help in stabilizing the economy.
SEC is important for capital markets because you are then beginning to look at the real issue of infrastructure needs and long-term capital, which has been the bane in this country for a while. So we need to get creative about it. And in there, of course, is embedded the inauguration of the Development Bank of Ghana.
You talked about the National Development Bank in your presentation, right? And all of that things being equal, are you looking at somewhere in October that it will quickly start?
I would imagine. I hope we can do it. We have now sent the final list of the board to the Bank of Ghana, so we hope to get approval. We have selected the first CEO, so he will be 24/7 from now, and we expect therefore for an efficient execution of that.
When are we finally hoping that the government take a decision on how to use the special drawing rights from the fund?
I mean, the board approved of the fund, and on the 23rd of August, I think automatic disbursement to member countries of 100% of their quota will be effected. And then we would work on parameters such as immediate COVID-related needs, and also looking at a medium-term program to see areas that are important where the nexus between finance and health meet.
The Finance Minister there. You're watching Business Live. My name is Darryl Kwao. Still to come, the Joy Business van visits edible treats, the startup aiming for a slice of the global cake market. That story coming up after this break. And welcome back. That was our tour around the world for business news. Now, back home, and for Yvonne Abiereba-Norier, putting aside an MPhil in development studies and quitting a good corporate job to bake cakes was bound to happen, is what she's really passionate about. However, doing so during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when there was much uncertainty, was one of the greatest risks she would take in life. Well, fast forward, her startup, Edible Treats, which specializes in making healthy cakes, is doing well. The Joy Business van paid her a visit.
My name is Yvonne Abiereba-Norier, the CEO of Edible Treats. I have an MPhil in Development Studies and a BA in Development Studies. I am still passionate about development, especially when it has to do with women and children. That's why I decided to pursue an MPhil in Development Studies, and even my thesis was focused mainly on women and children. Afterwards, I had the opportunity to work with an NGO on a migration project. So I was the lead for that migration project.
But even that was not satisfying. Yvonne Abiereba-Norier had another passion. Well, her real passion.
When I was in school, I used to serve online for cake training institutions in Accra, so that during my long vacation, I would go and enroll. So I saved up some money and I went to my first cake training institution, and I realized that it was something I really loved. And I was baking while I was in school. I was baking for my friends and colleagues while I was in school. And I saved money and decided to further and further and further. So that's how the interest for cake making started.
She would bake alongside schooling, and even when she got her first job after national service.
I love to see clients eat my cake and it puts a smile on their faces. That's the aha moment for me. So when I realized I'm missing out on a lot of opportunities to put a smile on people's faces, to make their occasions memorable, I decided, well, corporate was not really meant for me. I think so, because I was still working, but sometimes I had to take days off to work on friends and family orders, especially when it's for their weddings. And I realized I had an interest in it. I had a lot of clients telling me, Yvonne, I think you are passionate about baking. Why don't you give it your full attention instead of doing it off and on?
It was when Ghana was hit with the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic that Yvonne decided she would quit her job and concentrate on baking.
Somebody was like, hey, Yvonne, you did crazy. Someone was like, Yvonne, you did crazy, because it's a pandemic and people are uncertain. People don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. People were losing their jobs, and for me, I decided to leave my job and start a road of uncertainty. Like, I had a little bit of issues. My parents, sometimes my mom comes to my room and asks me, are you sure you are okay? But I knew that this was the path I wanted to go on. This was the path I wanted to tread.
During the lockdown, Yvonne took time to experiment with recipes.
During that time, I used to try a lot of recipes. I used to share recipes online. I used to do a lot of stuff. I used to experiment with recipes and share it online, and I had positive feedback. I posted on Instagram, I posted on Facebook, and I used to have people send me messages that I was really helping them because I was giving them ideas on what they could do with ingredients they have around them.
It was on social media we chanced upon Edible Treats. As Yvonne experimented with recipes, she realized there was a segment of the market that was not catered for, and people were really craving more healthy snacks. And that's when she decided to make healthy cakes a specialty.
So today we are coming to make sugar-free oats cake.
Okay. Haven't heard of that before.
Okay, so there's always a first time. And sugar-free oats cake is made for clients who are so particular about their sugar levels, and they are advised by doctors to stay away from sugar. So we don't use sugar in baking the cake, but we use an alternative, which is honey.
Yvonne admits it was not easy at the beginning.
The first month, I almost gave up. I almost gave up. First was, I had a lot of issues with delivery. Clients ordered for cakes, for cupcakes, and especially for cupcakes. Cupcakes are not that pricey and they are portable. So I believe that a motorbike could be able to handle cupcake. But it gets to the client and I get heartbroken because all the cakes have turned upside down. It's all messed up. There was one instance, a dispatch actually ate the cupcakes. I was so brokenhearted. And I had a lot of clients asking for a refund.
She got over it after encouragement from friends. Now, Yvonne is consistent. She knows innovation will keep her in the business, so she keeps developing new recipes. Yvonne has done a year, and she's looking forward to the next.
We are looking at capacity building and also developing expansion and also developing our potential so that we could serve not just a few people within the Greater Accra or within Ghana, but within the West African sub-region. And also we are also looking at how best we could transport our cakes globally without it being messed up.
Cupcakes ready.
Okay, so help yourself.
You should try it too.
Oh, of course I will.
Since you both like our cakes hot.
Yeah. So what's your feedback?
Wait, I taste the honey, I taste the oats. I gotta go. That's Business Live tonight. Catch you next time.